Hello and welcome to the heart of London for the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 Million Cash Game, where some of the highest rollers in poker are battling it out against each other with absolutely no limit to the amount of their own money that they can gamble with. Let's get you straight to the action then, and your commentators as well, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
So glad you've decided to join us for the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 Million Cash Game. I'm David Tuckman, alongside professional poker player Gary Jones. 8 of the best players, including that one, 11-time bracelet winner, Phil Hellmuth. He's not having a good day, is he, Gary?
No, he's stuck about $40,000 in this cash game.
600 to call. Fold.
But that's not too much to Phil. He's won over $11 million in tournament winnings.
Phil Ivey with a pretty rubbish hand there.
You settle, okay, young man? Don't need to, you know, be
Fold.
passing figures back and forth.
Action around to Matusow on the button.
Very quick call from David Benjamin, and also a call from Tom Dwan. 10-8 of spades for David.
And I think, you know, after that big hand, that durrrr won from Matusow, I think he's anxious to play hands with him.
Well, that flop has brought something for David Benjamin, and a little bit more for Tom Dwan.
Well, everybody's got a piece of this one.
4,700.
Not much of a piece of it for Mike Matusow, though, just bottom pair.
But durrrr is in the lead. He does have the ace of clubs. Now, can he represent clubs because he has that? Is that kind of the trump ace?
Well, in these kind of games, you're not really going to get that far from bluffing someone up with just the bare ace in any kind of a pot. Just because if anyone's got a flush, they're probably going to see it through to the end, especially against someone like Mike, who's only got 40,000 in chips. Well, he's re-raising the kid.
13, 2. 13,200 is the total bet.
I don't. Buttons in front of David Benjamin. Small blind. Tom Dwan. Big blind is Phil Hellmuth. And the action over to Chris Ferguson. Jesus, not going to play there. Patrick Antonius. What a lineup we have here.
2,200 total bet to call.
2,200 from Patrick with the Queen Jack. A couple of sixes for Ali. He's going to be happy to see the flop. And Matusow, who is short chipped at this table, is going to move all in. And that might be too much for him to get a caller.
I never played 5 diamond. Now you just asked me for 10.
Pardon?
24,900.
And it's 24,900. The re-raise all in.
Wow, and Tom Dwan's got a bit of a hand. Ace Queen.
Do you really want to call up your chips with Ace Queen?
Well, it's such an all-in play here from Matusow. He's going to probably give him some sort of a protecting of a pocket pair. And if it's under queens, there's a fair bit of dead money in there for this call, maybe. And don't forget, he's stuck himself, so...
well, he's going to gamble. He puts in the 25,000. And it pretty much is going to be a race. Ace Queen against pocket nines. Matusow slightly ahead.
That's all.
Pretty easy laydown, though, for Ellie, isn't it?
Cool.
You'd think so, but this is Lederer. Laydown's not really in his vocabulary.
Your change and your change.
So no side pot right now, but there is a chance there will be.
Yep.
And the pot is $78,000. Matusow all in with the nines.
I'll take red here for him.
And it doesn't look good for Matusow, looking great for Tom Dwan. And his roller coaster day continues.
Well, in a situation like this, you know if Tom bets, he's probably actually got a genuine hand.
I was going to ask you about that. He's betting into a dry side pot. What does that mean? And
it basically means he's trying to protect some sort of a hand. He's not likely to be doing it with a dry side pot. But that makes Lederer's call very, very strange. Unless he thinks he can spike a 6. That's the Jack of clubs.
well, that might be a scary card for Tom Dwan. I mean, of course, that 3 clubs out there completes the flush.
Yeah, but there's not that many hands that you can imagine Lederer wanting to call pre-flop. two
Oh,
suited
and look
clubs.
at that. Matusow makes running clubs, and he's going to take this one down.
You can tell he's just looking back to see if he's got a club in his pair.
Give me that like 80,000 in the middle, please.
Oh, and that's a sick runner
I did
clubs.
have the best hand.
One after of aces.
I did have the best hand pre-flop. Homie just zipped right on over for the gun for a little 25 ball with ace queen.
The guys that come from the internet in general, they have a lot to learn, a lot of hard lessons to learn. Because, you know, if you want to be a great poker player, it's not an overnight thing. And you don't just start winning and keep winning every day. You have to deal with the ups and the downs.
When you don't face adversity and you just win all this money straight, and all of a sudden the adversity comes and you lose $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million straight, and all of a sudden, you know, you don't know what's going on, you start pressing.
You know, when they have their first huge downswing, you know, they get into drugs or alcohol, you know, or whatever. You know, they really destroy themselves.
It's weird because you try and help somebody that you like out, but they don't listen because they're young, because I did the same thing. I had a lot of money when I came to the top of the poker world, and they were trying to all tell me, oh, this, you know, you could go broke, invest. I don't invest, I want to play higher. And of course I went broke 5 times, so, you know.
It takes a certain type of character to just, you know, stand up, you know, and fight. And, you know, and fight when things are going badly and fight when things are going well, and then, you know, and then you catch a rhythm. But I believe it takes 20 years at least to really catch a strong rhythm in poker.
You can't listen to people, you have to learn yourself, but you got a lot of talent, and I'm looking forward to playing.
Welcome back to the hottest poker table in London. It is the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game, and around the table is a who's who of poker brilliance. So let's hand you straight back to your commentators, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
And it's amazing, this man is behind an awful lot.
I put him on 8, he had 8.
Stuck over $200,000 on the day. In fact, over $300,000 on the day, and he's still laughing.
I just thought it was.
Well, this is a player that won $200,000 in about 12 minutes at one point, playing on the internet.
Fold.
I did not say I have 8. So.
I mean, he never showed it.
Fold.
Could have better.
Call.
Could have had Jack.
And it's amazing when you look at him and you think he's only 22. And he's playing a 5-3 suited here.
Against Patrick Antonius.
Well, he's playing his button. He loves that button.
In fact, both players love their button.
2 of you, yeah.
Well, most good players do, don't they?
It really is a power position.
Well, it's an interesting flop. Both players get a little piece of it. Antonius, a much better piece, though.
Yeah, he's definitely in front right now. A little under a 3-1 favourite.
If you're Dwan, do you take one off here?
4,500
Seeing if you can catch 2 pair or some sort of draw.
Well, he also doesn't know, of course, that Patrick's actually caught any of this.
So what's the play if you're Tom Dwan?
The sort of player that Tom Dwan is, he's also the sort of player that's going to put pressure on with the re-raise, kind of to find out where he is. Very, very fast player, but he's decided to play his position. He's called. Here we go. We're going to see a turn card.
Oh, that's a magical card there, the 5 there. Obviously looking for a 5 or a 3 or some sort of draw. That's going to give him trips. And can Patrick Antonius put him on a 5?
Well, he knows that Tom can pretty well play any 2 cards.
Especially
Just
on
have to see how this one plays out.
There's no way you're hanging it.
He's such a dangerous player.
Well, we see that earlier. We saw him move all in with just a 7 high. Anybody that's capable of doing that is very dangerous.
Betting 10,000. 10,000 to call.
And Patrick Antonius is going to bet 2/3 of the pot, 10,000 into a $15,000 pot. Action over to Dwan. And there's not much that Patrick Antonius can beat if Dwan actually had a real hand here.
I think you have points, but you might have also flopped 6.
Called.
Well, Tom's slow playing this one. Doesn't want to lose his customer.
15 change.
Also a slight chance he's a bit gun shy. He caught what he thought was a monster earlier on against David Benjamin. Wow, now he's got 5 full of 3s.
But once again, what can Patrick Antonius beat here with the king with a pair of kings with only a jack kicker?
You bet 90-something on the river, and he moved you.
I think we might still try and see a value bet from Patrick.
I promise to you, I'll be honest, I might try.
Although with Tom behind him, he might do a kind of a check call, hoping to catch a bluff.
I told you.
Figuring if Dwan missed diamonds,
He might have a stab because he's got, you know, an awful lot of history to trying to take these pots away. But I've seen Patrick make an awful lot of value bets on the river with very marginal hands.
well, this would be a very thin value bet. And of course, when Dwan raised, might Antonius think that he's raising with missed diamonds?
You're running good, Phil. I hit the 8. I was going to check raising on the river. You did check raising on the river. But I hit the 8, but I was.
Of course, Gus Hansen, the great Dane, watching the game intently. We saw him earlier. He finished up about $34,000. But Patrick Antonius is a big decision right now.
Came 3-4 jack.
Looks like he's put in a little value bet.
He has.
Yeah.
Buddy, we don't play in the same level.
David was losing before.
27,000.
Well, that's a big bet there. 27,000 into a $35,000 pot.
I think we're going to see a raise from Dwan. He can't be scared of 5 king or kings full.
You know, the way Dwan's day is going, I figure he figures, you know what, if I run into pocket kings here, so be it. He's definitely going to raise this one.
That's what he said.
Buddy, that's all I'm doing. Just another day grinding.
Dwan started this hand with just under $140,000.
You won 34 nines.
Deuces.
This pot is going to be at least 90,000. And he's all in. And we saw him move all in earlier with just a 7 high.
Bet is all in.
He did have a bit of a draw, though, when he did the 7 high,
Good
just
point.
in case.
Well, the pot now is $184,000 back to Patrick Antonius. And could Dwan be doing this with a misdraw?
Well, that's what's going to be going through Patrick's head.
You think about that flop. What draw could he have missed?
Huh? Yeah, because or she would have been bluffed.
Obviously 2 diamonds on that flop.
I mean, it's hard to call.
How much more?
It's just like, unless you have a deuce and you really have like an ace deuce. And even, I mean, well, probably what I'm a favorite to have.
And of course, durrrr is such an aggressive player. Helps him get paid off sometimes.
Even if you have an ace deuce, I mean, how often are you going to have the best hand?
But will Patrick pay him off here?
No?
That's 90.
I mean, once in a while. I mean,
95
Phil Hellmuth,
95
world
cents.
champion, looking on. Always studying his opponents.
Yeah.
And it's about 90,000, 95,000 back to Antonius.
95.6.
And what is Patrick thinking here, Gary?
Well, he's just trying to decide whether he thinks that Tom could be making a bluff here. There isn't really, like you say, any genuine hands he can beat.
Oh, that's a sick beat there. You had kings there. I thought he had
I mean, a raise like that on the river, it's pretty much an absolute monster or nothing at all, right?
Exactly.
You raised pre-flop, I didn't.
I'll be hamming up tonight.
You raised pre-flop, I didn't re-raise them. None of this small blind.
Oh, you could have 6s full.
And these guys have logged hours and hours against each other online.
I could have queen 6.
What a treat we have, watching them live on television.
I could have queen 6. Right?
So I'm just trying to say, with the board queen 6.
Of course, Patrick made a big payoff to Phil Ivey in season 2.
Yes, we all remember that. Pot that exceeded $800,000, and at the time was the biggest ever televised hand. Can you get a read off that face?
14.
I can't,
44.
but I'm used to seeing his avatar rather than his face.
What does he do?
And we've seen some thin calls today. This wouldn't be as thin. Patrick hasn't played too many hands trying to work this one out.
Do you agree with what I'm saying? What do you do in
Eyes wide open. Tom Dwan begging for a call at this point.
David, can you order watermelon? We have 2 more hours.
Don't forget, not only is Tom Dwan stuck over $300,000, Patrick Antonius is stuck about $100,000 as well.
An absolutely enormous pot, $184,000 pot, $95,000 to call.
It's all about balance.
Patrick Antonius has won millions in cash games, millions in tournaments. And he's made a living making tough decisions like this. Talking about a lot of money here. And if you're ever wondering if this money meant anything to these players, you can look at Patrick's face.
You can almost feel the pain on his face. He's really not comfortable.
He's got 2 pair. Kings and 5s of the jack kicker. But as you've said already, he can only beat a bluff here.
All credit to Tom Dwan. He's played this beautiful. The flat call on the turn. The all-in on the river. Such a big overbat.
He's really playing it as if he missed some sort of draw.
Call.
Full house.
He says call. And
All
Patrick
in,
not happy. 5's full of 3s. Going to be the winner. And that pot, nearly $300,000.
And we take a look at the leaderboard here. Chris Ferguson still up front with over $200,000 in his stack. Benjamin, wow, he's got over $500,000 at the table. Remember, he bought in for $500,000, but he's up $118,000. And look at the big guys on the bottom there. Tom Dwan, he's still down, but only down $170,000. Patrick Antonius, though, wow, down $240,000 after that one.
Welcome back to London, where the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game is beginning to get serious. Let's hand you straight back to your commentators, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
Button in front of Phil Hellmuth. Small blind Phil Ivey. Action on Patrick Antonius. Now he's down $240,000. We remember in season number 2 of the $1 million cash game, he lost a huge pot to Phil Ivey.
Yeah, he did. He lost an $800,000 pot to Phil Ivey by calling him off on the end, when he pretty well must have put Phil on a bluff. And this is a very similar situation, not quite for as much money.
Called, 2,200 called, fold. Fold.
Phil Hellmuth calling on his button with Queen 9 of spades.
Called.
And Chris Ferguson's going to be in there.
Protecting his big blind with Ace 6 of spades. Well, the original raiser,
Check.
David Benjamin, 2 clubs.
Yeah, you imagine if Benjamin follows through with an aggressive bet here, he'll probably take it down.
Betting 5,000, 5,000 to call. Call.
But Hellmuth's going to take one off. He's got a gut shot, straight draw, as well as backdoor spades.
Fold.
And now that Chris Ferguson's passed, he's actually got the best hand. That 4 changes nothing.
Check.
Phil Hellmuth's hand getting stronger, although he doesn't realize it.
He's going to bet this, though. Obviously, he doesn't know he's ahead.
Bet 9,000.
But he's going to try to represent something.
Betting 9,000.
Well, he's betting about half the pot. I'm pretty sure that David Benjamin's going to call this in a flash.
And this could be interesting. Queen high could win this hand. Queen 9, that is.
David just having a look to see how much more Phil Hellmuth's got behind. Phil didn't start this hand with that many in chips, about $58,000 worth.
Cool.
Well, Benjamin is so creative. I think he's always looking for a way to win a pot. Kind of thinking out of the box.
Well, he just calls this one. Throws in the $25,000 chip, saying cool.
Pot is now $35,700. Benjamin needs a 3 or a club.
Or to make a strong bet. That jack, an absolute beauty for David Benjamin.
Of course,
I think this could be the end of Phil Hellmuth. He's just made a straight, but just at the wrong time.
Hellmuth hits his gut shot. Unfortunately for him, it makes Benjamin a better flush. Phil Hellmuth started this hand with $58,000.
50,000 to call.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be a call from Phil. There's not a lot he can do about it.
All in.
And Benjamin is going to win this pot. And Phil Hellmuth is going to go broke.
He catches the absolute card he really wanted to catch in this pot. The jack.
Make sure there's no more than 50.
He's got it anyway, yeah.
There's no more than 50, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Give me 100.
You said all in.
Give me 100. Nice hand, David. Well played, buddy. 100.
I sense a little bit of sarcasm.
He's going to stack off the last 40 for 100% if he misses. I had nothing, no pair. Nothing, Mike.
Patience is the #1 thing in the cash games. You know, you look at the greatest cash game players in history, they've all had a lot of patience. And so that's the #1 attribute. The ability to not steam, you know, to not get too emotional. Or if you are going to get emotional, like me, let it out, but then don't play emotionally. Playing emotional is bad. So, you know, patience and the ability to stay off tilt.
The action certainly has been fast and furious. We have well over $2 million at this table.
You change this.
Over $500,000 in front of David Benjamin.
And he's approaching 700,000 now. But he is not our big winner. Our big winner is Chris Jesus Ferguson.
It's 25,000 change.
And one thing about losing money to Chris Jesus Ferguson, you know he's not going to give it back.
Yeah, you're going to have to get that out of him with a crowbar.
Well, Benjamin, again with another big hand here. He's got big slick. Although he seems to do most of his damage
Okay, fold, fold.
with kind of the odd out-of-the-box hands, doesn't he?
Yeah, the kind of marginals.
And fold. Total bet 2,200.
Phil Ivey on the button.
Fold.
Passes. As does Chris Ferguson out of the small blind. Just Patrick Antonius left.
Cool.
And Patrick is going to call this. And twice we've seen Benjamin
2,200 called.
have his opponents hit the worst card for them and the best card for him.
Exactly.
Really the story of the night.
Wow, what a nice flop there for Patrick Antonius. Well, almost a nice flop. Gives him a draw. He's now 50-50 shot over the ace-king. Actually thought he flopped a straight there. Thought he had 9-6.
Cool.
Still, obviously, Benjamin has missed, though. Some aggressive play from Antonius should take this one down.
Well, it's gone bet from David, call from Patrick, and that king on the turn means the betting's going to continue.
Yeah, Benjamin's not going to go anywhere now. See that he's a 4-1 favorite. Antonius is going to need a jack or a 6.
9,000 bet.
Oh, he's going to have to somehow figure out a way to get David Benjamin to fold his ace-king.
Fold.
Well, he's laid it down. Didn't like his pot odds. Good pass there from Patrick.
He also realized that if he hit his straight, it would have been a one-liner. Might not have gotten paid off.
Exactly, would have looked very, very, very obvious.
Take a look at Benjamin's chips there. Wow. Those reds. And he is up to nearly 700,000.
600 to call. Call.
We're at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game. Patrick Antonius has bought in for another $200,000.
1 minute per day. You know what? That's a good idea.
And there it is. Those black chips, $25,000 each. You'd think for $200,000 you'd get more than 8 chips.
6,600.
Yeah, it seems like you've been cheated a little bit. Flat call from David Benjamin. Also a call from Dwan. Better raise it up from the steamer, Phil Hellmuth.
Well, you know Tom Dwan is going to play that hand, 5-3 of spades. Probably his favorite hand right now.
And the raise up from Phil Hellmuth, Jack 5 offsuit.
Well, Hellmuth has a little bit of a reputation for steaming in cash games.
Certainly looks like it from the evidence right now, but this is quite a big bet.
I like that 5-minute clock. Where it's like a
6,000 raised. I don't know whether Tom's going to call even with his hand at the moment.
That'd be pretty cool. And everybody, when they buy in the tournament, they get their little 50-cent 5-minute time bank. And as soon as that 1 minute's up,
got about $2.5 million on the table now.
And it counts down.
Of course, Hellmuth reloaded with 100,000. Antonius reloaded with 200,000.
Well, durrrr calling with his 5-3. Actually dominated by the Jack 5. I bet you wouldn't have thought that.
Tables where you only get an hour and 15-minute levels, they're taking 10 minutes a hand. I mean, they're destroying the...
Well, he's got in front with the 3.
Yeah, he's outflopped him.
I've had a 5-minute decision maybe twice in my whole life. John Pham has one 20 times.
And actually, Hellmuth is in bad shape right now, although he's got position.
11,000.
And he might be able to take this one away. We'll see how Dwan plays it, though. And it's like an entirely different Hellmuth, isn't it?
Yeah, he's totally opened up. Tom calls.
And how many bullets can Hellmuth shoot?
Yeah, that's going to be the question right now. The 3 doesn't look too strong. If he keeps firing, and that ace is going to be a bit of a scare card for Tom. The only thing it does give him is it gives him a straight out.
Of course, Hellmuth has the same straight draw. But for Hellmuth to win this pot, needs a jack. And is Hellmuth going to continue firing at this pot? Something we haven't seen earlier is continued aggression from Phil Hellmuth. And he bets 26,000 into a $37,000 pot. I don't see how Tom Dwan can continue.
Well, he's probably sitting there thinking he's got 9 cards. If he thinks 5s and 3s are good, he thinks his 4's probably good. He's pretty sure his 3's probably good. He's up against aces and queens, that of them.
I remember Tom Dwan is down nearly $200,000 as well. Might he be reaching here? How many bullets can Phil Hellmuth fire?
Well, he needs to fire one more.
I mean, look at that flop, Queen 3 deuce. Not many draws out there.
At least not many draws that didn't get hit by the ace. What hand does he think he can get Tom Dwan to lay down?
At this point, I mean, you have to put Tom on at least a queen, and you figure there's no way he's going to lay it down. The pot is nearly $90,000.
Looks like he just does not want to leave those chips behind.
Well, he's put his children in the pot and doesn't want to abandon them. And he's got about, I'm trying to work it out, it looks like he's got about 40,000 there. Is 40,000 enough?
I think he's got a bit more than that. I think he's actually got more like 60 or 70,000. There's 2 black chips.
Oh, indeed, you're right. It is 2 black chips. So he's got about 65,000. Is that enough to get it done?
Well, we know that he's up against a 3. It may well be enough to get it done.
I'm all in.
And look at this. What courage.
He shoves it all across the line.
Oh,
and
come on,
Tom
Phil,
Dwan,
show it. Come on, Phil, show the cards. And he does.
He shows the bluff.
I made a flush. Wow.
He's absolutely desperate to show that one.
Famous group Jackson 5.
So while Phil Hellmuth continues to count his chip stack, we're going to take a quick break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time.
Ellie, if I move on, you call?
Chris Ferguson, our big winner so far, up over, well, nearly $200,000, I want to say.
600 to call.
Yeah, he's up $200,000, and I don't think he's said a word to anyone since he sat down.
Fold.
If you put another 90, I can call. You know?
Of course, it's hard to get a word in edgeways with Mike the Mouth Matusow, Phil the Brat Hellmuth,
If Phil move all in, I call.
and some of the other characters around this table.
Fold, fold.
You went under, buddy. After you won.
Well,
you
David
beat me
Benjamin
out
with a
of
genuine hand here.
750,000.
Well, David Benjamin knows how to play the trash.
You just
Can he play a
decided
real
to be
hand?
a winner now.
Well, I don't think he's going to throw it away.
Oh, Jack on the lever.
What's the kind of insight we get from Gary Jones here?
Looks like a raise.
Raise. 3,900 is a total bet.
And the interesting thing about this raise is he picks up queens on the button. He raises on the button. Might his opponents not respect that?
That is quite possible. And Phil's got a genuine hand.
It's like a whole new person. It's amazing, like
If he doesn't respect it.
Wow.
how they act,
Fall in the road.
they're winning, how they
Cool.
chirp.
Fall in the road.
Yep, 3,900. Cool.
You gotta be happy every day like me. That's why when you know you guys
When Hellmuth calls, Ivey calls, action over to Antonius.
It's on you.
And I think Antonius is priced into this one.
winner or losing, then you're not playing.
Yeah, any kind of a hand, and he's going to play this.
Cool.
I learned that. I get to put myself through hell.
And Antonius has got the spades. And we'll see this 4 ways. Pot just about $17,000. Actually, it is $17,000. Oh, and look at that. How about a set of 8s
Check.
for Phil Hellmuth?
Check.
He's probably a little bit unlucky
Check.
that there's a king on the board.
Yeah, had that flop come out 10-8 deuce, probably would have got a lot more action.
It's been checked round.
When you raise
the raiser.
queens and you get 3 callers and you see a king out there, you can't be too happy, can you?
Well, you can have a bet
11,000.
and see what actually happens.
11,000 is the bet to call.
I'm gonna raise it up, 40,000 to go.
40,000 total bet.
A re-raise from Phil Hellmuth. He's just showed a bluff. He's hoping that his opponents are going to put him on, trying to steamroll the table.
It was $11,000 bet from Benjamin.
Fold.
A raise up to 40,000 for
Total raise
Hellmuth.
40,000.
So it's 29.
Big later.
Back to Benjamin.
David Benjamin's passed as well.
Fold.
Yeah, he's already folded.
You folded? Winning on another one, buddy.
And Hellmuth continues to steamroll this table.
Ivy, I second. Ivy, I second staying through.
I third it.
And Hellmuth was down over $100,000 just a little while ago. But some creative play, and he is now only down 25,000.
Are you telling me they said it an hour ago?
You stuck, Phil?
600 to call.
I would have slow played the hand when it came king 10.
Action on Patrick Antonius. He's not going to play.
Everybody was drawing dead.
Lederer.
2,600.
He likes his suited ace.
He could hit a jack. He could hit
Fold.
a king.
I had 2 queens. I was not doing that.
Fold.
You had 2 outs.
26, Tom.
I would have smoked
2,600 total bet. 600 more to you. Thank you.
An awfully big raise from Ellie.
Yeah, it's over 4 times.
I was going to say $2,600 bet into a 600 big blind.
But you know what? He said
Contrast that to David Benjamin's raising. He often raises at about 1,600.
Exactly. I know David seems to raise it more my style, as Ellie seems to want to power them through a little bit more.
Both players have a piece of this one. Ellie with second pair, top kicker. Tom Dwan with top pair, king kicker.
You must have been playing bad lately. You changed your mind.
5,200 total bet to call.
Now, remember earlier, Tom actually bluffed Ellie. Can that work in his favor here?
Cool.
Well, there's been plenty of previous between these two. And there's going to be a little bit more. This pot starts to get big. 5 on the turn for Eli Lederer.
Well, he checks it. Action over to Tom Dwan. And Ellie looking for the check raise here, possibly.
Buddy, I'm going to take you out of my word if you can't take the swings. I can take the swings for me. Just not watching you play, I can't.
And it goes check, check. A little pot controlling check there on the turn from Tom Dwan. And does he know something?
Well, I think he's hoping to catch a weaker hand on the river. That's a bit of an oversized bet there from Ellie, 25,000.
And I think Dwan was going to call. I think he was on automatic call if it was a normal size bet. But the over bet has kind of forced him to raise his eyebrows a bit.
I still think we'll see a call.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think he's going to lay this one down. I think the internet phenom is going to lay this one down. He's going to sniff it out as the overbet doesn't make any sense. And he's looking to the skies for help. I always look up there. There's nothing, nobody ever answers.
Well, there you go. You got Opie on your side.
5-5-3 on the board was very good to him not long ago.
Of course. I mean, I'm almost positive Dwan calls it if it's a $13,000 or $14,000 bet. The $25,000 bet into a $17,000 pot just makes him scratch his head a little bit.
I think you're right. The longer this goes on, I actually think he might fold this now.
Come over my side of thinking here. And although Durr is only 22 years old, he's accomplished an awful lot, and he's got thousands upon thousands of hands of experiences.
Is there a Chinese game or are we playing online?
That black chip he's playing with in his hand, as is Ellie. They're all worth $25,000. And that's what the bet is right now. He throws it in. It's a good lay down there from Tom Dwan. And you read it right, David.
It's a great lay down. And I think Ellie cost himself about 13 or 14,000 with the overbet.
You're very right.
And we take a look at the leaderboard here. Chris Ferguson in the lead, nearly up $200,000. David Benjamin, things have gone his way and he's up $165,000. Of course, Tom Dwan and Patrick Antonius, each of them down over $200,000. They've got a lot of work to do.
Well, sadly, that's where we've got to leave it for now here at the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 Million Cash Game. But we'll see you again next time for plenty more world-class poker.